Ladies in a Business, a podcast about business, marketing, growth, strategy, staff, clients, babies, marriage. I'm Christina, and this is the handsome Peter Pilarski.
How you doing?
We are the founders and leaders of CIPR Communications.
So we're going to dig into staff today.
We are going to dig into staff. And
I don't mean we're not going to like dig into our own staff, but just the topic of staff in general. And I feel like we could do an entire series, probably spend a whole lifetime talking about this complicated and challenging part of running a business.
Maybe we will.
Oh, maybe we will.
Yeah. No, I think staff have been this interesting, I guess, thing for us. I'm very independent. And I feel like I will definitely raise my hand and say, like, I was the one who resisted staff the longest because I will admit I put unrealistic expectations on myself and try to do it all. 100% I do. And I think that it became a real big problem.
Yeah. I'm going to start off with a little story about growing up in my dad's business, because he was a very successful entrepreneur. And I remember I worked in his shop, and I remember there was a mechanic that couldn't fix a belt, couldn't replace a belt. Came to my dad, said, wrong size belt, doesn't work. Dad got pissed off, went back to the car, put the belt on the car, and basically was, pissed off all day about, why do I hire people? I just do everything myself. And it's like, it's like that story just resonates with me, and it reminds me of you. As you know, your personality is very similar to my dad's, very independent. I can do it all myself. Yeah, I can do it all myself. I don't need anybody. Why do I need people? But it's like, it's impossible, literally impossible to grow a business by yourself unless, your goals are just to have a one-person business, and that's fine, but certainly not our goals. And so, really need to rely on people, and really need to bring the right people into the right roles. And it's, we certainly were, I would say, late to the party with that. I will say that I think I'm pretty good at thinking when and anticipating when we need to bring people on. And the dynamics of a married couple running a business, it takes me a little while to convince you about things sometimes. And so, yeah.
It's true. And I think, like, for me, it was leaving this really great position, right, in downtown Calgary. And I definitely had to fight against this almost complex that I built about, like, proving myself. And I don't think at the time, because you definitely are the visionary, and I kind of think 4 steps ahead. 5 is maybe even a little too many. And so for me, it was like, if I have to hire out, it means I can't do it. And so switching my mindset from this, like, it doesn't have to be all me, to, okay, now it's a business, took me a while. And actually, I think back to when we were first dating and being very kind of open with one another. And you had asked me, like, well, what do you think's the top thing you need in a relationship that you hadn't gotten before? And I told you that I needed someone to take care of me. And that was very mature for me at 22 years old. But like, it was something that I think in any previous relationship I had, and just being an only child, independent person, I had never thought I needed that. And so the staff thing for me was really kind of, on a professional side, full circling that, and honing that instinct, I guess, into the workplace.
Yeah.
Do you remember our, like, first time interviewing people?
I do. Yeah.
So we, like, set up shop in Jonathan Dennis, shout out to Jonathan's office downtown, and had, like, all these people parading through. And to be completely honest, in that moment, I, like, felt like a real big girl, like, oh, we're interviewing for our company and all these people want to join us. But it was hard. Like, yeah. I don't think I knew even what I wanted. I wanted help, and that it wasn't probably the right approach.
Yeah, it's a real tough thing. And we'll talk next episode about business coaching, but I think we really now have a framework for sort of how to hire and what position we need and when to hire and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, at the beginning, it was just sort of like, oh my God, we feel too busy. We need to bring someone on. And then, the interview process is an interesting one because everybody talks a great game in an interview. Like, let's be honest. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody practices and says what they think you need to hear and all that kind of stuff. And it all sounds wonderful. And I'm a very trusting person. And I like people. So it's like, oh yeah, this person's great. Everybody's great. Right. But it's like, how do you sort of differentiate and how do you find, it's a tough thing. And like, obviously we're a communications company, we're communicators, we're marketers, we're like, that's who we are. It's like, HR is a whole different beast all to its own. Right. And, yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge. And what's
What
that?
would you have done differently in that first tranche? Knowing, because you know what, we ended up actually hiring two people. We were only trying to hire one,
Yeah,
but we hired two, and that was the right move. Like we
it
had
was.
revenue at the time, but we also had enough work. Um, one person had ended up staying with us long term. That was Jolene. She moved halfway across the world and is living her best life right now. But she was a strong staff for a while. But like, what would you have gone into and done differently had we known what we do now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that we do now is we have this process of find, mine, grind, really the three components of our business. So the sales, the executing, and then the sort of like administration and whatever, and mapping out all the tasks and what everybody does. I think that's such a valuable thing to actually understand what you need and what skills you need and what you're missing and a little bit of projecting in terms of future. I mean, I think, to your point, we went into those staff hiring late, and we were really busy, and then we were trying to bring on staff and train them while also being very busy, and frankly drop some balls and drop sort of, it wasn't a great experience overall for us or our clients. So I mean, we got to be transparent about that. And so one, I think starting earlier is key. I think that when do you hire, and it's like there's really probably two ways to do it. It's like at the last possible minute to sort of maximize revenue and profit, or proactively, and so that you can really continue to provide the service that you need to provide and do the proper training. So I think starting early and really, really, really thinking through deeply as to what you need, what skill set, even creating a picture maybe prior to an interview of the ideal candidate, I think would be an interesting thing. And then sort of then testing people's in the interview against that ideal candidate, right? And I mean, you're never going to get a perfect match, but I think, we didn't really know what we needed, and we really didn't know what we sort of were looking for. And we just knew we were too busy and we needed help, right? Not enough. And I personally think that, as a service company, like hiring late is a really dangerous thing to do, because you get too busy and then now you're trying to keep clients happy while also training staff, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And we just hired another staff, and I'll just say it, I think we need to bring her on more full-time quicker. But and just sort of, I think you need to sort of eat that cost for a period of time, because I think that it helps you accelerate faster in terms of growth.
Yeah, I mean, Shane, who was a client of ours, but also a longtime friend, he always told us about like the steps of your business, right? So like you feel this high growth time, and then you almost have not a plateau, but there's less growth. So you're a little bit more straight. And then you have this other period of growth. So to be like hiring when you're on the stair, as opposed to taking the step to the next stair. And I look back to Marjana, who's our digital manager right now. And I remember you introducing me to her, and we went through kind of the process, because we have an HR process now, of bringing her on. And I said to you, oh my gosh, it feels so fast. Like it feels like we're moving fast here. And then we took a breath and we were like, we have been planning for this role for a year. We had written the job description literally a year before she was hired. We had iterated that job description a few times, right? Switched things out. No, we're looking for this person. We'd actually had a couple other interviews throughout the year. Kind of tested the waters. And so it was like, oh, actually, we didn't. We just found the person that we had been looking for a year.
Right.
And you look at that, and it's like, there was an immediate cultural fit. She was brought in at the right time to be able to take on what she needed to, giving her time to grow, not throwing them into the fire, similar
Yeah.
to what we did to Jolene 3 years ago. It was this kind of nice thing. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think if you hire too late, you're just like setting up the new hires for failure, which is not good for you, not good for your clients, and certainly not good for the person. So certainly not the experience you want to create, right? So yeah, it's a probably, I always say, our business would be so easy if we just didn't have people involved, right? So it's definitely the most complicated and difficult part of a business, of any business, I would say. And yeah, I'd love to get some feedback on this episode from, entrepreneurs out there who've hired, who've had challenges. This is a great topic. I think we could dig in deep onto if there's interest.
Totally. Well, I'm sure it's not the last time we will talk about staff and people, but I actually need to jump onto a call.
All righty. Well, you enjoy your call.
I will.
Bye.